No one tell you can become a CEO, right? You can't not only succeed by yourself. You need to succeed with others. If you own the things you do, if you really act as a CEO of your job, then you start to really stand out because you will try to do your best, having self-confidence, being humble, trying to be nice with others, care about others. But everyone can become a CEO at the end if you...
In this Sports and Outdoor Mentors episode, I chat with Cedric Georges, the CEO of North Action Sports Group, the owner of multiple water sports brands. Cedric has had an impressive career path that started out as a sales rep with a major FMCG business. He's also taken time out of his work and family life to give back and support the industry that he loves, most recently as chair of the Outdoor Sports Valley. If you want to learn the secrets of this impressive career, keep listening. And if you enjoy the episode, please take a moment to leave us a review. So, Cedric, 12 years in FMCG, in consumer goods,
Yeah.
and then now 11 or so years in outdoor sports, all within, let's say, a commercial, general management leadership roles. But what kind of got you into that area? What was the drive to enter a commercial role at the very start of your career?
Yeah, I think it started at school when I tried to identify what would be the best way to start my career with. And of course, maybe due to my how I'm acting as a person, how I feel to interact with others. I think I got a chance to be identified that commercial could be a good spot. And I'm also not maybe the guy who wants to stay a full day behind a screen and thinking about stuff and just providing documents and stuff. So I said that maybe being on the field could be a good start. And then I tried to build my school education. And then after that, my first internship in an area where commercial is really very important, let's say, with a lot of support from the company. And then that's why I decided to enter the FMCG world, where I think you learn the most from sales. And if I can become an expert into sales, maybe it can help me to grow to a next level after that. That's why I came to P&G, for instance, as a first real employer, because before was internship Unilever and Ferrero.
Yeah. And so I think you spent around 10 years then at P&G.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking back at that time, what would you say was the best and the worst kind of experiences that you gained during those 10 years?
Was the best. The best they try to. This company is really set for students, and starting your career is perfect if you enter such a company, because they really give you the toolkit to perform. Whatever is it for sales, persuasive selling methodology, whatever is management skills, and they try to infuse to you how you can act as a leader and really perform at your peak. So this is the best you can expect from an employer, and it helps you also to grow fast, and they put you out of your comfort zone very fast. And this is perfect when you have to exit from school education, a bit like protected and formal, and then really enter the professional life. So this is the best, I will say, from that. The most complex part or the worst part is you have a lot of competition in that kind of company. So you have to accept that, which could be very nice, but sometimes it's a little bit challenging. You have to accept mobility as well. So it puts you as well out of your comfort zone. Being out of the comfort zone is also a bit challenging, but it gives you also some values, some way of acting that give me also confidence in future. Then it's when you start to grow through company like that, you start to reach a level where politics become as well a key topics. And then you can feel a little bit uncomfortable if you remain in such big corporate company, because then politics take a bigger role than really operational part.
Okay.
And this is a bit why maybe the reason I left P&G at a certain point of my career.
Okay, interesting. Well, you said there that there was became competition. Do you mean like internal competition or competition within the market?
Of course, competition internally.
Okay.
Yeah, because you grew up, you have a first level of responsibility, sales representative. You are maybe 150 people. Then you can reach the key account level, which is 50 people. Then you have the trade marketing or the customer director level, which is the 20 people. So it's like a pyramid, and if you want to grow, you need to perform better than others because there is less role in front of you, right? So this gives us a little bit like you are friends working for the same goals, but at a certain point, if you want to grow fast, you need to be better than also your camarades, right? So it gives you also this feeling, but it's also super natural, and it's not really a bad and worse competition inside. So it's really, really nice.
You mentioned there that, if you want to take that next step, that kind of naturally brings competition because, as you said, obviously the higher you go, the less people, the less roles. But were you always quite ambitious or quite competitive from an early age, would you say? Was that kind of something you knew, okay, I want to take that step?
Yeah, I think so. When I was young, I was really protected and in the countryside of France, so not really on an urban and really aggressive like a way of living. But I knew that I liked the challenge. I like sports a lot. I grew up in Annecy area, so connected with outdoors, connected with ski. I did a lot of sports competition with soccer, and I like also winning with a team. So that gives me a lot of confidence about the fact that competition could be still interesting, to challenge yourself, prepare the competition, and try to perform during the competition. So, and when you transfer from sports to the professional life, I think if you have this mentality in your professional aspect, then it can help you maybe to perform even better than others. Doesn't mean that you are here to win against others, but it will help you to give you more confidence in yourself and to grow up through others, through a company. So yes, I think I have that from my DNA. Maybe not many people after 20 years I operate in this industry as this in their blood, let's say. So you need to have a bit of competitive in your mindset, but maybe also trying to do it not by yourself and not trying to win individually, but win collectively. And if you win collectively, then you can also expect to win individually or grow individually.
Yeah.
So the balance between the two are super sensible, and people that are too competitive might be a little bit by themselves and maybe collapse in their career because of that. So you need to balance at a certain point the competitive aspect.
That's interesting. So because maybe that kind of perspective and view that the team and the people around you are also key to your success. You said there that you played soccer when you were younger. I guess maybe some of that came from that because of course it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I have this discussion with my son all the time. It's just because a Ronaldo or a Messi is in a team doesn't mean they win every game, right?
Exactly.
It's the team. So,
but it's I was I think lucky enough to really grow up in an area where there was not so much, let's say, level of talent or competition because it's like a very protected apart with not so many talents from everywhere. So I was tall, I was fast, so I was scoring a lot. So you stand out and you feel good. Like you like victory. You start a race, you run, you win, you feel good. When you go to school, you also perform at school, and then you feel good. So I have a lot of start in my younger time where I was really winning, and I like that aspect. And then I start to move school to Annecy, so big city. I move also to a bigger club for soccer, and then I have to compete versus others that were better than me. And then I start to lose. Then you start to not be the first in the class, but the fifth or the seventh. Then at soccer, you are not playing every time, you are substitute. Yeah. Then it gives you also a bit of humility that maybe you feel that you are good, but you are maybe not good enough to compete in a bigger world, right? Yeah. And that's also how it helped me to learn about the aspect of competition, preparation, humility to always challenge yourself and learn. To help you to become a better person step by step, right? So that's also my journey.
Interesting, really interesting. So then after 10 years at P&G, you joined Odlo, and I think you spent roughly again 10 years at Odlo. And as with P&G, you progressed through the business. But I mean, maybe you've touched on this a little bit already, but what was at that point, that motivation to move from let's say, what is obviously P&G, a massive, very professional company within a very professional environment, consumer goods, fast-moving consumer goods, into comparatively a very small industry.
Yeah.
And in terms of professionalism, in many cases, I would say not at the same level necessarily.
Yeah.
So what was that motivation for you to make that move?
I think 10 years at P&G was really fast and really exceptional on every aspect. So I learned so much. The last job at P&G was in Geneva. I think this job was a little bit challenging for me because I exit the French market to move to a more corporate business. I was disconnected from the ground, from the market, because I was at the HQ of Europe. And then I start to realize that it's maybe a bit more complex. And then I was not really keen with the role I was managing. So I was already thinking about the future, but I was also clicking all the boxes. And I knew that the next job that will be offered to me will be to go back to France and at the end take a bigger team, a bigger pool of customer, but doing the same things. And before I can learn more, meaning going to a GM role, I have maybe to be passionate for 10 to 15 years, because this is also P&G cannot give a country like France to a 30 years old guys, right? So, or I was waiting on comfort zone, trying to continue to perform, get very high increase every 2 years or a year, and then live my best life, but staying also comfort zone, not learning so much. Or you decide a pivotal moment in your career to maybe step into a role where you will learn. And then this small country manager role at Odlo was maybe the perfect role I was looking for. First, to enter an industry that I was really connected with, despite the fact I was in FMCG, sports industry, outdoor industry. That was one reason. Second is the role was exciting on paper. Country manager, managing finance, managing marketing. Very small, but you manage everything and not only sales. And I think my path to sales was already, I know I'm good. I know I'm good in managing sales, managing people. Now I want to test myself, put me out of the comfort zone. And then I see maybe it's a path for a bigger expectation. So my dream when I start the career was to maybe become commercial director. And then when I get this role, then I say maybe GM or could be the next one. And now I'm CEO. So I didn't expect to be a CEO when I start my career.
Yeah.
So no one tell you can become a CEO, right?
Sure.
So it's a path. And I think if you ask my wife at that time how we exit an expatriate life in Geneva to come to Annecy, cutting your salary by maybe half,
Sure.
not having the school paid by your employer, I think was still at the moment the right thing to do. And after now 11 years, when I look back, I think it was exactly the thing I should have done.
Yeah.
So, but you have to take risk. Of course, you put yourself out of comfort zone. You go somewhere you feel that is important for you. It's also how I decide to take a job in my career. Is always like I am learning in what I'm doing, or I'm not learning enough. And here I was not learning enough at P&G, so I decided to move. Then is it like also good for my career path? That was also another point. And is it like important for the development of my career? And this was also as everything was green. I said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking back in those, maybe that first role, maybe your whole time at Odlo, was it clear to you that you were able to take things that you'd learnt from P&G and either implement them or adapt them a little bit and make them relevant was that something that was clear for you, that there were definite benefits of coming from that larger, more professional environment?
Yeah. First of all, I have the impression that in terms of sales, nothing can happen to me because I was trained by, on paper, the best company that can give you the best into sales. So in terms of sales, I knew that I could be really strong. Then management leadership was also a key topic at P&G. And I was also influenced by leader and manager, some mentor at P&G. That was really high level of people, give me a lot of input just by observing them, how they act. So it gave me also a lot of ingredients that I could become a good GM if I just reapply what I perceive from them. But of course, you enter a world where you don't know if you can transfer all the skills to the sports industry. And when I entered the outdoor, I discovered two things. First, the level was quite far behind FMCG in terms of expertise or in terms of competition, maturity of the market. So I knew I can transfer skills by definition, but I have to adapt. So because if I bring everything I learned from PhD, I will just lose my team and the brand. So I try to put step by step things that I think will have an impact, short term, mid terms, and then long terms, and it works very well. And then it gives me even more confidence. And then I try to educate the employee working with me to also engage into a journey where they can elevate themselves in terms of skills, in terms of methodology of selling, methodology of trend marketing, category management. So I was still a little bit sales oriented in this first role because it was country manager, but you have to drive sales for the country, right? Even if you have to care about marketing stuff, the key topic was still sales. That was also my comfort zone. And then I learned on other aspects, like how to operate P&L, management, financing, marketing. That was something I was not really expert with. Then I tried to bring talents and work with talents that give me also a lot of input and insight and help me to grow these skills to myself. And that's a bit how I made that. But I was a bit the only one at that time, 12 years ago, to come outside the few big companies like Salomon did that transfer of skills from, like I think Hammersport was led by a P&G guys. Yeah. But in the other brands here, it's like more, you start from outdoor and you stay within the family, right? So I was a guy coming, selling diapers and belts and razors. And the first time at OSV was also very interesting because they just look at me like, who are you, right? And but I think I can bring something to this industry. And after 10 years, I can measure the impact I let or legacy behind. So it's good.
What was the biggest surprise, good or bad, or maybe both, that you had when you joined the sporting goods industry or the outdoor industry?
I was expected people to be really first passionate, and this was the case. But I was thinking they were also with the appetite to grow and win, because sports is also about winning, not only on competition level, but also you try to be a better athlete on every sport you do, right? You don't want to win all tennis tournament, but you try to be a better player. That was my way of thinking. And there was people who said, my dream, my testimonial was to work into sport. I cannot work outside sport. But their mentality and mindset was not really how to win or how to grow. And there was a discrepancy from my point of view. And that was a key takeaway. It was more like, okay, we work together. Let's see what's happened. But it was not like, okay, we have to play in the market. We have to grow our shares. That was how I was educated, right? Sure. And at FMCG, you fight against big retailers and you fight against very big competitors. And then the level of execution with excellence, or the level of how you can win at point of market versus others, was not really the topic in this industry. So that was the big shock. And then I have to learn from that, and I try to influence positively how we can shift our mentality to be more like aggressive, positively aggressive when we go to market, to create value with our retailers, and how we can stand out from competitors to win at a certain point the revenue growth, right? Yeah. And it has worked, but it was the most shock when I came here. And then I also discovered the fact that people work together. They try to play in this world, in industry, and they're really close. Like they really rely on skills from someone working on another brand, and they prefer to recruit someone from another brand to them with a transfer of skills, because of course it's easy. You don't need to train the person. You just get the knowledge. But for me, that's exactly the opposite of how I was trained by P&G. If you recruit someone who is already good in his job to do the same job at your company, for me, you just offer something which is not challenging enough for the person who come to you, if he's with this mentality. So I try to recruit talent from other aspects, and I like to put them as well in outside their comfort zone. Yeah. And I'm very keen that the skills can be transferred from any industry to that. And then I start to say to people in outdoor, we should maybe open ourselves to also recruit talent and be also open to recruit talent from the outside, because we will feed the industry with more view and more skills, maybe at a higher level that we have today, and then it will help the entire industry to grow. So that was also why I invest myself into OSV as a volunteer, or Outdoor Sport Valley. So,
It's great to hear you say that, because I think I felt for a long time that, you know, within the industry sometimes we are too insular and not looking outside enough. I think, of course, there are some things that clearly you need specific skills that are maybe industry specific, but I think as an industry, if we want to continue to innovate across not just product but ways of working, processes, etc., you know, we need to bring people in from outside with different perspectives, different experiences, different point of views. It's not always easy, because I know some people find it difficult to sometimes adapt to the industry.
You're totally right.
But I think it's really important. I mean, I know from a professional point of view, you know, I always try to present with my clients, I always try to present half candidates from the industry, half from without. And with some people, it's really tough to get them to consider people from outside.
You take a risk. You take a risk to recruit someone, because if it doesn't fit your culture of the company, and some people that have everything from P&G, when they exit P&G, they also fail the first time they exit from P&G, because they can't adapt themselves to a new culture, which is completely different. So you have to also have the humility to adapt yourself to the culture of the company you are going into. But this company culture should also resonate to your core values, right? And then it works. That's why I was not considering to move from P&G to a competitors of P&G, because for me, it was not possible that I can work for a competitor of P&G, because I learned from P&G. So I prefer to go to a new industry and try to present a solution that can maybe generate result. That's why as well I managed to grow up through Odlo, because on paper I could stay like 20 years in my first role at Odlo. And I try also to grow up through this company, because I can maybe help at different level.
You touched on the fact that I think quite early actually in your career at Odlo, you started volunteering and working with OSV. So you've maybe hinted this already a little bit. What was your main driver, your main motivation for doing that, for giving up your time and supporting the industry association for the region?
Because I was coming from another industry and stepping into a role that was a little bit more ambitious on paper than what I used to have from P&G, I knew that I need to learn fast about the industry, the retailers, competition, about the way it's operates at different aspects of the role, and I was lucky enough that OSV was invented 15 years ago now, and then I start to feel that there is something there where I can take a lot of information to feed myself with knowledge. And I did it very fast after I get the job at Odlo. I become a volunteer. I got a chance to meet Pascal Aymar, who unfortunately passed away 3 years ago. He became a bit my mentor in this industry, I have to admit. He was a great friend, but to give me also a lot of advice. And he was also the first to open the door of OSV to someone from the outside of the industry. He gave me a board position after 6 months in a Odlo role. And I said, okay, for me, it's an opportunity. And sitting on a table where you have Jean-Marc Pambet, CEO of Salomon, Frédéric Ducret, CEO of Millet, for me, was also an opportunity to interact with people who made the industry or were making this industry at that time. And then I met retailers as well. And I start to create a network and connect. And then I said, if I just came and steal information, that's not fair enough. You need also to give back. And then I start, and I learn a lot from P&G. So I said, I can maybe give back to this industry at different levels. First, I was teacher. Then I become a board. Then I give advice to a startup company, always for free. Then I become a treasurer of this industry. I reach executive board, and then the president after 6 years. And now for 3 years, I was president until yesterday.
Yeah.
And even my wife will tell you, okay, why is engaging so much time into a job which is not paid? But for me, is super key to also sometimes do things where you can give back what you learn, and you will always collect and receive more than what you give at the end. And this is exactly my journey at OSV. So I think that was the reason.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I took more, and then I have to give back. And now, for the last 3-4 years, I also get a lot.
And you, as you mentioned, you've been the president. So essentially, if we think about that role as a corporate role,
I was maybe young without having CEO or board of a position before.
okay.
So I just stepped into a role where, of course, there is some uncertainty of how I can really drive and make sure that the vision and the execution of the vision will be made perfectly. But for me, it was also an opportunity to test if I can really drive at the volunteering level and maybe be credible as a CEO in the future. So it was also very interesting personally. And then I tried to reapply what I learned from CEO, people that I observe, or podcasting of people, how they perform. And I said, okay, I need to set a vision, a clear vision. Then I need to connect an executive team with action plan and execute KPIs. And then if we are consistent with that, we should deliver something interesting in 3 years. At that time, it was post-COVID, super disruptive. We were lucky to have acceleration 21, 22. Now 23, 24 are more challenging. But then I said, we have to care about digital and data. We have to care about consolidation of players. And it's happened a lot with retailers, but also brand, and also sustainability. So I tried to design a vision that was important for OSV. I changed also the GM executive director. I put Céline Brunel. I think it was important at that time to have a team that can also be working together to make sure that we execute an ambitious roadmap. And now, stepping back, you have been at the General Assembly, you see the result. Yeah, that for me is the best legacy I can let is a better OSV that it was 3 years ago. Still learning, so this is a cluster that will grow and continue to grow. But that's my best commitment, and I'm quite happy about the delivery.
And then, so just under a year ago, so 9 months ago, you joined. Let me get the name right. North Action, Sports Group as CEO. So they're let's say a water sports, so kite surfing, wakeboarding, windsurfing, if I understand well, different brands. So what have been the same thing, the kind of the early learnings for you stepping into that CEO role? So your first, let's say, executive level general management role.
It was also challenging because you have to also consider relocation of a family in a new country. You have to lead the company in Netherlands with like 85% with Dutch people, 15% of foreigner. So different culture as well of operating a company. So it was a lot of new industry, even if it's close to outdoor sports, it's water sports, completely different approach. Sports that I don't practice a lot. So on paper, you can say, okay, there is a lot of risk, and but it's also putting myself out of my comfort zone. And after 10 years in France, in Annecy, with my wife, and we said, okay, everything is great, but are we going to stay on our like that until you retire and you are also entering a comfort zone at Odlo? Then I said, what about having a expatriate role and live a new life? And a CEO role for me is also a learning path. And that's why we decide to go. After a few months now, 6 months, I think it's even better than what I could expect, to be honest. Very challenging market. Situation of the company was a little bit more challenging than I was thinking about. But we did the right discussion with the group, the investor. I have to take some decision, short term, mid terms, but we also design in 3-4 months a strategy, and I just duplicate and reapply what I did as president of OSV, setting a vision, coming with strategic initiative, clear action plan and KPIs, make sure that the lead team is embracing that, but not only the lead team, from bottom to top. So all employees were involved in the strategy and the direction. And we just, I guess the most key learning was first the work-life balance was shaky because we have to relocate the family to Netherlands. So to make sure that the family and the work-life balance will remain at a high level was one thing to consider. But I think because my wife, the kids were also exciting with this movement, was at the end a good success. And in the meantime, I have to step into a role which is on paper very challenging, new industry, CEO role, industry that I don't practice in sports, in a new country with a new culture, mainly dominated by Dutch people. So I have to adapt myself to something that was on paper very challenging. And also when I step in, the situation of the company was a bit shaky. The former CEO passed away a few months before I stepped in. There was an interim, but unfortunately, the company was not really under control for several weeks and months. And then I have to step in and decide on things to do very quick to make sure that the company can have the good ramp for growth again. There was like 2 years of fluctuation, like a lot of company experience after fantastic acceleration path. So then I just reapply what I did at president of OSV, setting a clear vision, make sure that we have also strategic initiative, clear action plan and KPIs to make sure that also I will not be the only one to set that. I embark my lead team. I do some change in the lead team as well, unfortunately, but to make sure that the lead team is also aligned. And we also make sure that everybody is embarked. So we try to make sure that every employee can input to the vision and the direction. And it was, I think, the key takeaway of my last 6 months.
Yeah.
And we just displayed the strategy to our entire group. And now I'm executing the vision. So we are starting to see the result. It's
Great.
a little bit too early to say yes,
Sure.
but we can feel that there is a different level of energy and engagement from everyone,
Great.
which help a lot, especially myself.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm interested, before you stepped in the role, did you do anything to particularly prepare or kind of set yourself up to take that kind of next step in your career?
Back to my experience at P&G, I think I learned from P&G that they gave me at that time a job every 2 years. And they gave me an advice that, Cedric, you have 6 months. You have to be like a sprinter for a marathon. You have to learn a lot because you will not generate any profit to the company in that role for 6 months. And we are okay with that. After that, you have 1 year and a half to outperform at your peak and generate a lot of revenue for the company. And then you will really stand out due to the skills you have and the learning part. And then the next 6 months, as you enter your comfort zone, you have to think about what could be next role for you. So that gave me a lot of operation discipline at P&G. I got 5 roles. Yeah. And when I entered Odlo, after 2 years in the role of GM of France, I start to think like, okay, what's next? And with this CEO was the next path. And then I just reapply the same methodology every time. So 6 months of key learnings where I'm not the best dad or the best man at home, maybe, but my wife knows that. I'm a bit under pressure myself, and I try to put myself under a lot of comfort zone because this is where I can really make sure that after the 6 months I can perform at my peak. So this is a bit how I proceed.
Okay.
And now I'm entering a path which is like 6-7 months after I start, where I'm more under control of the long-term goals and strategic direction. And then I try then to be a bit the maestro of that. And it works. But I know as well that in the past, after 2 years, I can also become lazy and a bit boring about having tasks that I am performing already. Yeah. So I'm also challenging my manager or the company in the past, what's next and what you can give me on top. And I was never asking for a salary increase, never ask for a precise job. I would say what's next for me and how I can help the company to grow more. And I demonstrate that I can over-deliver. So if you want, I can deliver at a high level or I can help at a different aspect. And I'm very angry to learn. So give me things where I will learn and I will reward you, hopefully, by performing in the role you will give me. So that's a bit the learning I have now for 20 years executed. And this is maybe an advice that we should all have in mind because it works for me.
Yeah.
If you have this mentality of willing to grow, nobody will tell you can become CEO or commercial director. So you have to do your own path, but everyone can become a CEO at the end. If you really have good education, good skills, and you have the will or the appetite to lead, then you can become what you think you can, not what everyone will tell you who you are. And that's a bit the mentality I try to apply.
So looking at your role now, or not necessarily now, but any leadership role, what would you say is the most important task as the leader of that business?
Acting as a leader on everything you do, even if you are not at the beginning of your career a leader, meaning managing things. For me, leadership is different than managing people. Of course, to grow, you need to manage people in your career, but you can be a leader even if you are a sales representative. So if you own the things you do, if you really act as a CEO of your job, then you start to really stand out, because you will try to do your best to execute at your peak with excellence. And that was also a key learning from P&G from the beginning, and that was something I still apply.
Yeah.
So I will say, acting as CEO of your company, it's your business, you own it. Even if it's a different company and you are an employee, what you do is it's your own business.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee it change completely the way you enter your mission. Because you don't think you have to be good for your boss or you have to be good for the company. You think you do it because it's your business.
Yeah.
And then you will do it with passion, with engagement, with skills. You will like to do it as a maximum performance you can. And that was a key takeaway at the beginning and early stage. And then when you start to grow, you become manager, and then you have to lead, and you can't perform only yourself by execution task. You have to embark a team behind, and then you need to inspire others. I learned as well, sorry to say, and I always refer to P&G because it gives me so many insights. So like the what is a leader, and they talk about the 5E, which is super easy to remind, and I think it will be a good that young talent can learn about that. You have the envision, enable, engage, energize, execute. If you understand those 5 steps and you execute those 5 steps as a leader, normally you embark the team with you, and then it works. So I will not enter into details of that. There is maybe a lot of documentation that they can go through. But definitely, as a leader, if you set only as a vision, but you forget about setting an action plan, then people will say, yes, we understand where you want to go, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Then you need to enable through an action plan. And then you have to make sure that you energize them and make sure that they are committed to execute behind. So you need to also spend time with your team. You need to care about them. You need to listen about them. Give a lot of time to others. You can't not only succeed by yourself. You need to succeed with others. Most of people, they are only considering them, not really others. And people hate to manage because managing is complexity. Managing is taking problem of others and trying to solve those problems. So if you don't like managing others or being with others and helping others to become a better person, then it's also challenging to perform, from my view, at a higher level and role. So that's a bit that. And then execution is part of, sometimes execution level at P&G was at that level. Outdoor, when I joined, was maybe at a lower level. And I know I cannot reach the same level as P&G, but I try to elevate the level of execution. And then I try to be role model by doing myself, especially on a smaller company, smaller group. Even in my current role of CEO, if I execute my CEO role like the CEO of LVMH, it will not work. I need to be an operational guy. I need to put my hands in the operational task. I need to clean the floor or put the palette right if it needs to be done. I need to sell to a customer and clients to show to the team maybe how to sell and embark a retailer to a long-term strategic partnership. If you demonstrate by being role model, and if you also be authentic, and we touch base on the side, I think that will help you to make sure that the team will follow and make sure that they execute what you expect from them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you work hard yourself. You expect the team to work hard, but then you have to make it with fun, energize, play hard, having a lot of commitment that if they engage, there will be a lot of reward. Whatever is party, fun, time together, salary increase, job development, So I try to also make sure that the team is rewarded also by the performance they provide to the company and to my own view, right? That's also something I learned. Like sometimes when you recruit talent from the outside, you cut a bit the grass to people who engage a lot in the company, right? And the guy who joined, he just takes the role that maybe someone was looking for. And I prefer to leverage the promotion from within. So I prefer to recruit junior position and help them to grow, giving the skills. And when they show that they are committed to engage and execute and perform, then give him the next level. Even if they are maybe not 100% the total expert of their role, because I was trained to be out of my comfort zone. And then I give them a bigger salary, a bigger job. And normally it's a win-win, right? Win for the company, win for me as a leader, and win for the employee as an employee. Of course, you can't do that to everyone. Some are not really looking for being a leader. Some are really at their peak and they like to perform. So they are a team player. They are not the captain or they don't want to. And then you need to also adapt your management and your expectation with the different level of employee. But you can still motivate people that are super loyal, super good of what they are. They deserve a different kind of management that the young boys that wants to, or girls that wants to become the new CEO, right? And these are the most, maybe sometimes important things, especially when you enter a shaky moment where the company is into trouble. It's not like the young talent who maybe leave the company because they are looking for salary increase and growth, where the loyal employees stay. So I like also to give them opportunities sometimes to step up and to take more lead, especially on a crisis time. And I experienced that at Odlo, and it was a fantastic result. So that's a bit how I try to express my leadership at that time. And in that last role as CEO, if I can just conclude with that, you have to prove yourself that you can be credible as a CEO, especially with all the different environment, culture and stuff. And the first 6 months you are observed. Are you credible? Are you inspiring enough? Are you good enough? And you have people that might think they can become CEO. So you have to balance with ego, with people. When you manage a team, there is the behaviors that could be different than before, family business versus corporate business. You have to make change. You have to change the statu quo and make the company in movement. And you see people that completely embrace the change, willing to move, and some people that are completely against this change. So the complexity is, as a leader, is how you embark people that are against the statu quo. And sometimes you have to change the people because they are too conservative and not willing to challenge themselves or challenge the process.
It's clear listening to you that obviously your time at P&G had a strong positive impact on you in terms of the lessons, let's say, that you learned from that time. But in terms of people, like you already mentioned one person with Pascal, but who have the people been that you would say you look back over your career that have maybe influenced your career?
See, if I look at P&G level, it was I got a chance to my second job was key account, and one guy gave me the job in his team. I can name him. Is Frédéric Saveuse, and after that he grew up, and he always take me in his team. So I grew up thanks to him. So he become a manager, but also my sponsor.
Okay.
And now he's out of P&G. He's owning an hotel, and he's still a little bit a mentor when I need career advice and support. So that's a bit how I was lucky in terms of growing fast, thanks to someone who were performing fast. But it was a win-win between us. And I also have the chance to discuss at P&G with and listen and observe people that like David Taylor or Loic Tassel. These guys are today, one was CEO of the company, one is a CEO of Europe. So you also learn from that. You observe leaders and you try to see behaviors where you say, okay, this is something I'm learning. This is something I can do and reapply. Or sometimes you observe behaviors of leaders that are maybe not what you would have done, especially when they do mistakes. And then you say, oh, then I will have done differently. And then you start to consider that you can do also one day a good role if you observe that. When I moved to Odlo, then I have at that time Christophe Bézu, a French CEO. So I was super lucky, as a fantastic career at Adidas and Esprit. And he was my boss and plus two, but he was also, let's say, a bit my mentor and sponsor. He was friend of Pascal Emma. So I was lucky at that time. So I managed to convince to exit from a French GM to have a go-to-market role, international account management on top. And then I was, after 2 years, really excited. So he gave me Europe West. And I work under a new CEO, Knut Are Høgberg, that was also trusting my capacity. And I still get advice now from Christophe from the outside. I also try to listen from leaders from podcasting. Hubert Joly is a very interesting French CEO. He did his career in US. He's not my mentor, but I'm listening about how he turned around Best Buy, how he was caring, and he bring this servant leadership or caring into leadership. I try to feed myself also by being curious and listen from others, right?
Yeah.
By thinking that even if I reach now the CEO level, it's not the end.
Sure.
And of course, now I perform and I stay in this job, but I don't want to be a new CEO in another company. I just want to make sure that now that I reach, let's say, the top of a role, I can still be a better manager, a better leader, and deliver better result than before.
Yeah.
To stay on the wave and not like starting to become less performing in terms of employee.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of. So I was lucky, I would say. My dad, my parents was also maybe a good part. You start with family as well. I was lucky to have a good family. My dad, I think, put me some good things regarding having self-confidence, being humble, trying to be nice with others, care about others, bring positiveness in your life. My wife was a teacher, being good at school. Perform, but also that start as well with that, right? My grandfather was a farmer, so you learn from your family, and then you grew up, and then you still keep a little bit of that. That helped me to become maybe a better leader today. So that's also something which is part of the journey. So, and now my wife, she's my best partner in crime because she has to live with someone who is always in movement, and you need to balance also that. And if you don't have the right partners in your life, I get married at 25. I got my first kids at 26. I think I start to realize that I have to really take life seriously when I become a father, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The chance to become dad at that age helped me to become more mature as a man. And then setting more ambitious, because you have to make sure that your household is also on a good secure mode, right? You want to offer the best for your kids, protection, life, whatever you can. And it's helped me to also change a little bit my behaviors, let's say, as a company. You are living for yourself, and when kids arrive, you live for them, right? So that's also part of my journey with mentor, sponsor, partners.
Yeah, that's great. And talking about your family, as you said, you're married, you've got kids, you've just been, in a senior executive role at Odlo, at the same time, president of OSV. And you talked about those first 6 months of a role where maybe balance isn't a word you'd necessarily use, but overall, do you feel like you're able to achieve a balance that works for you?
Definitely. For me, working is part of the life, but there is more things outside work as well. So you have to balance the work and the life. So I always try to have the best work-life balance in every decision, and is one of the key decision-making process of taking a new role. If my work-life balance will be completely on the right side on a long term, it will be one of the weak signals that maybe the job I will step in is maybe not for me. So work-life is super important. But I have also in mind that sometimes by putting yourself out of a comfort zone, so putting maybe the work-life balance on a short term on a less comfortable than what it is also fine. because after that you will have as great work-life balance that you used to have. I'm a fanatic of now outdoors, connected with mountains for 10 years, and now I'm living on a flat country. But I discover new activity like biking, water sports, and I'm also curious. So I'm also open to learn from other activities. So my work-life balance now, I would say, is super nice, right?
Yeah.
The first 6 months was challenging, but now it's really nice.
Yeah.
And I will never committed to completely not see the kids or the family. So, for instance, getting a job where I have to leave on Monday morning, coming back on Friday, and because on the CEO role you need to be at the office. You can't be like 2 days and say, okay, it's fine, I work from home, and we will come back. No. So I said to my wife, if we don't move there, I will not take the job. And I did the commuting with Odlo to Zug. I was there 2 days. It was too hard. Too disconnected with my daughter. She is 8 years old. I want to see him growing. So then after 2.5 years, you say, okay, it cannot be sustainable. So now we are together. Only my older son, 18 years, is now on a preparatory school for business school in France. But he's old enough. So yeah, that's a kind of, it's a mandatory state point. I don't really believe that people can work from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. There is maybe some people like entrepreneur or Elon Musk or people like crazy guys. I'm not definitely the kind of guy. I need to sleep 8 hours, 7 hours. I need to have sports in my life. I need to see my family. I need to be with them. If I'm efficient 2-3 hours a day on my work and take the decisions that are good enough, it's already, from my point of view, fantastic. You can't be focused like even 8 years in a row on your role, because I will give a lot of time to employees and I will not be productive there. But the time I will give to the employee, hopefully can help them to become more efficient in what they do in the later stage. So as a CEO now, I have a chance to touch so many tasks different. Every day I do something different. But how I can impact the business to make sure that there is traction behind my decision. Yeah. So this is a fantastic role, fantastic life balance. But definitely not a hard. I will never die for working so hard. Yeah. I was stressed when I was kids.
Okay.
So I tried to calm down a little bit, because health is also super key. And when you become older, you discover that you have stress on everything you do. Family is stress, working is stress, pressure is stress. The media, everything put you pressure on the. So I try to stay as positive as possible and not to put too much bad pressure on myself and on my employees and on my family. So I try to avoid being a kind of a nasty pressure. I hate that kind of behavior. Yeah. I give freedom. I love to have freedom, and I have full freedom at the role I have today. Yeah. It was super important for me. I like people giving me credibility and authority and ownership. Give me the key of the house. I don't look at my shoulder too much. Yeah. But then when they look at the shoulder, they are happy with what they see, hopefully. Yeah. So micromanagement for me, doing a lot of meeting for doing meeting. Yeah. I hate that kind of thing. So I try to avoid, now that I have the chance to decide on everything, that to reapply behavior that I was hating from a corporate company or from the past.
I'm sure your team appreciate that.
Yeah, but sometimes they are asking for more. Some people like discipline. Some people like to be also under control. Yeah. So you have to balance a little bit that. Some people, they like to have someone to be behind and motivate them. On some they don't. So what is true for me is maybe not true for everyone. So even that was a key takeaway in learning. I have to adapt sometimes a little bit. Yeah. So sometimes I have 1-to-1, which on paper I had to add every week, because people maybe need that and some don't need that. Yeah. And I let them with the freedom not to have this one. But when they need me, I will become my priority of the day or of the hours. My desk is always open, even if I have important things. If I think the employee is on an emergency mode and needs something, I will switch off and become the most important time of my day, right? Yeah. So that's a kind of mentality. I like to give back, but also I think they will understand that I care about what they do, more than what I have to execute, because they will be more important than me, because that's when they operate and they do things and I cannot do everything.
Yeah.
So that's a bit why they are so important for my journey. Yeah.
You've talked a lot about learnings that you've taken from P&G, but I wonder, let's turn it the other way around. What do you wish you knew at the start of your career that you know now?
Oh, so many things. I think school education and school are very good. I think if you push to a master degree, if you can, it's maybe a good advice. However, after the master degree is just a diploma to give you maybe access to a good job in a big company. But you are in reality not really set to be efficient on the role. So you have to learn a little bit everything.
Yeah.
My key takeaway is a big company can give you a lot of ingredients, process, methodology that can help you to become a better leader in your career path. That's my journey. So I cannot say that if you start in a small company, you cannot perform.
Sure.
Everybody has his own journey. But my journey was, I was lucky enough and setting to start with the biggest company in FMCG, because I knew they will be the best to provide those ingredients, will be the perfect set for what I am today as a leader. I would say, thinking that I can become CEO one day, I was not expecting maybe that at the start of my career. That I have the capacity to be more than a salesman is also a key takeaway.
So self-belief.
When I start as an intern, I was working on a client's role as a trend marketing person, and the guy leading the pool of clients was 55 years old. So it was like 2 years before retirement, something. And I said, okay, if I'm lucky enough, maybe at end of my career, I got his job, right? And at P&G, I got the job at 30 years old. And I said, man, I have 30 years to perform in front of me. So what's next? So I think to reach your ambitions to the next level, it's quite also a key takeaway and learning. Yeah. So I put target, and when I achieve the target, okay, now what's next? And then I reach the target, and then what's next? But I don't say, okay, I want to be CEO from the beginning, because I maybe it was too ambitious, right? Yeah. But same with when I applied for my school, I tried to get to the best, and I got the 5th or the 6th in front. So you always try to raise the peak of what you think is your peak. Yeah. And when you reach it, then okay, I have still a bit of time. Yeah. What's next? And that's a bit one of the key takeaways. Okay. You can't succeed by yourself. I was a bit selfish, competitive, as I said at the beginning. So I was loving to be the first at school or to win at sports. But then winning with a team is even more reward in terms of a person. So leading with a team is so how you call it in English?
Rewarding.
Rewarding. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. This is exactly where I prefer that overperform, and being not a teacher, but giving back what you learn and see others performing better than what we were performing before. Yeah. That gives you also a lot of confidence. For sure. And a lot of credibility, and you are super happy for them. Then you become super happy for you. Yeah. So that's a kind of
absolutely.
Also
absolutely. Yeah. And maybe just talking a little bit about the industry. So you're stepping away, let's say, from the outdoor sports industry, but what over the last 10 years, kind of looking back and looking forward to the future, what are the big challenge, or what's maybe the one biggest challenge that you think the industry is going to face in the coming 3 to 5 years, let's say?
I think the maturity of outdoor sports compared to other industry is far behind when I compare to FMCG or even corporate sports or lifestyle in general. So this industry was more a craftsman industry, and it was still young, let's say, with no super big players. Even the retailer landscape are not so big compared to what Walmart is. If you compare like Dick's Sporting Goods, it's like 10 billion, and Walmart is 300 or 400 billion, right? So what I think that this industry will continue to grow. because it's going more and more big, it will generate more process and operational with discipline. So you will see more elements through digital acceleration. So the digitalization of our industry, it was not really there 10 years ago. Now it's really accelerating big time. Consolidation, super key. You see Anta with Salomon, how Salomon explode for the last 2 years. It's fantastic to see how globalization can sometimes help brands to really get the potential, the full potential. Some retailer disappear, some brand will disappear. So the market is still not at the optimization on everything. So that could scare some brand. A lot of brand will be on market to be sold, to be consolidated. As a group, NTG, we are looking for acquisition and consolidation of the group. So consolidation is a key takeaway. Go Sport purchased by Intersport, for instance. And last, sustainability. And this was not totally at the spin of every entity in outdoor.
Sure.
And we are connected with nature. So we have to be role model. So this is a message I try to bring as a president. I think the future will be if you do not put really that into your strategic direction, you will not be in capacity to play in this industry anymore, so it will be I call it a right to win, a right to play, not a right to win. Patagonia picture shows the path, and now if others don't do the same, then you will be out of the market. Despite the fact there is still a lifestyle industry like Temu and Shine with products that you can also say they are not totally sustainable, because consumers are also taking decisions on pricing.
For sure.
So this is a little bit that. So
very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So you've shared a lot of great insights and advice, but looking back over your career, is there one piece of advice that you've received that really stands out in your mind?
Yeah. I think I can give a few of them. I received a lot. But let's say, first of all, try to stick to your core values. You need to be really clear about what is your core values. Respect, integrity, trust, ownership, leadership. That's my core values that I try to build through my career. What is your core values? Be authentic and try to tell to others how you play, what is your playground and who you are as a person is super important as well, because everybody is different. So you cannot expect to manage people and they are acting like you are, because everyone is different. So you have to consider everyone individually and take care of their different aspects, and it's okay about that. So you have to also accept the fact your team will have different players, and its diversity is key. Don't try to look for too many people like you. Try to diversify. Put more women in your board. Put more people from different ethnicity and so on, because it will give you much more culture shift and mentality shift as well. In terms of career path, I try to express that a little bit before, but I always chase for a job that behind 3 aspects, which I think has been fantastic in my growing path, which are I am learning currently in my role, yes or not? Do I want to learn? Yes, of course. Learning is a long learning curve, and you have to learn every time in your career. Is the next job going to offer me a lot of learning experience? If yes, okay, first good point. The second is it consistent with your career path? Salary increase, benefits, title, still important if you have ambitious to grow a bit. Yes, check. And the third is work-life balance. Is it good on work-life balance? Another check. So if the three aspects are on green side, then you could consider to go into a role and step in. If you have 2 of them green, it's also still okay. If it's only one, then don't go. So I give you an example. You are a sales representative in a brand, and you move to a sales representative in another brand because you are a little bit frustrated. You will not learn too much because it's same industry, same role. You might be a bit frustrated about your title and your learning. Work-life balance might be a little bit worse because you have to go to a new company, so to engage, maybe to move a bit geographically. And then it's all about salary. Just because you get 10% more, then you move to another, then you will not be happy in your job. So that's a kind of element. Yeah, that's and own what you do. This is yeah, that's the most important things. Care about others. If you want to grow and lead, care about others. Don't think about yourself. Care about others, and make sure that others understand your management direction, skills, whatever you want to bring to them. You need to make sure that you are clear in where you want to set or you want to go. And sometimes this is where it's the most challenging part.
Yeah.
And people have also their own life, their own concerns, so how you care about them to make sure that they perform at their peak as well.
Yeah.
This is maybe the best advice for leader. Sky is the limit. Set your own goals, reach your goals, and then go back to your homework and what's next and how you can go faster. And you will lose. Success is there, but you will also make mistakes. You will also lose, and you have to learn from that. Easy to say. I always keep my mistakes, but I always take the 2-3 key takeaway that help me not to do again the same mistakes. So this is also very interesting.
Yeah.
Don't stress, and I give a lot of advice, but don't stress to take risk. People like to stay on comfort zone. So go out of your comfort zone, meaning take risk, calculated risk. So be good also with figures, be connected with data. People hate figures in general. In my observation is people don't really own the business as they should. You should master the data because taking risk, you have to make calculated risk. So take decision on data, be fact-based on what you do, because otherwise you will take assumption of feeling and then you will make mistakes, but you can't learn from that, right? So measure your progress and then you can step back and see what was right or wrong. So that's all the
Great.
key takeaway who guide me to this role today.
Great. So normally at this point I ask my guests if they were going to retire today, what would their message be to the team? But as you've only just started your new role, that's maybe not the right thing. But actually, let's turn it to OSV. So as you said, you let's say officially stepped down yesterday. So what's your message to the let's say the executive team, the operational team at OSV here?
I thank them, of course, for their support and contribution. And for me, this is still the beginning of this label or cluster for Outdoor Sport Valley. The future is important, and OSV has to be the accelerator of the industry, showing the path that, and we touch base on what's next for the industry, digitalization, consolidation. We have to be on top of everything to guide also the small company, medium company, to maybe take the right decision and help the leader to also engage into the right path. And as a board, they have to inspire and engage into that direction. We have to be role model. I try to be role model. So just be yourself, but try to also make your own legacy. I did my own. I did my best. Now it's your turn. So do your legacy. Do your best. Engage. Don't count your hours. And when you will step back, you can measure the progress that the company or the industry or OSV will have done. And you can measure a little bit the reward of your decision you will have taken at that time. This is for me what feed me as a person and as a human. And I try to give this advice to everyone yesterday.
Perfect. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Cedric. You've shared an amazing amount of insight and advice. I think certainly if this was me back in when did I join Columbia? Back in 2001. This would have been like super valuable. So
thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being so open and honest and authentic. And congrats again on your new role. And I hope now your 6 months is done. Let's see whether the next 18 months are as you hope. But good luck with everything, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you for inviting me and giving me a chance to express about my life and my career. So it's also an opportunity. So thank you for that. And good luck also for this podcast. It's super interesting. And I hope you will have a lot of followers that will help you to grow your community.
Perfect.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Cedric. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Please ensure you click the follow button on your podcast app so you never miss a new episode. And if you're interested in what else we're doing, please make sure to follow us on LinkedIn. I'm Dan Trapp, and you've been listening to Sports and Outdoor Mentors.